हरिः ओम् नमो नमः नवमः पाठः सूक्तयः द्वितीयः भागः. We were discussing who can be called as having eyes, which is done in the 4th stanza. Now the 5th one, the 5th verse. Now these are independent verses, okay? So they have been chosen from different parts of the text and possibly they are independent by themselves. So it need not be read necessarily with the previous verses. These are like subhashitani. Like subhashitani are for Sanskritam. This Tirukkural is for Tamil. Yat proktam yena kenapi tasya tattvartha nirnayah kartum shakyo bhavedyena saviveka iti ritah. Yat proktam yena kenapi tasya tattvartha nirnayah kartum shakyo bhavedyena saviveka iti ritah. The question the poet poses is, what can be called as viveka, discrimination? Now here this discrimination is not the usual social discrimination that we are speaking of in our history books or in the world today, Black Lives Matter, etc. That is not the discrimination being spoken here. Viveka, in actual Sanskritam, classical Sanskritam terminology, Viveka means the capacity, the special capacity, the special capacity to veka, to separate things and analyze them properly as they are. It's like the intellect dissecting things open. Yeah. So viveka is, in that sense, right knowledge and ability to distinguish between the right and the wrong. That is what is viveka. So now, what is viveka? How do you say someone is a vivekin? If someone is, you see, discriminative in the sense of the Sanskritam word. Yat proktam yena kenapi tasya tattva artha nirnayah kartum shakyah yena bhavet saha vivekah iti iritah. Iti iritah. Iritah is it is said. Yena, now by which capacity you can say kartum shakyah, it is possible to tattva artha nirnayah, is possible to judge or is possible to come to a conclusion. What is being concluded here? The tattva artha, the essence of whatever they are saying, if it can be concluded easily or if it is possible to conclude using that, what do you say, the power of the brain, that power of the brain is called viveka. Okay, now this is a very good definition of viveka. In cognitive studies and etc., it will be helpful. So this viveka is defined as that capability, mental capability, which can come to a conclusion discussing the total gist of the of whatever is being said. Yat proktam yena kenapi tasya tattva artha nirnayah, whatever is being said by whoever else. So many people, self-appointed advisors, can give us a lot of advices. You go to this college, go to check that and all of that. It would be better for you to take engineering after you finish at 10th, and all such advices come and fall on our ears. So yat proktam yena kenapi, whoever be the person who is advising or whatever be the advice given, if that person who is possessing this viveka, which is an ability, can distinguish or can come to a conclusion based on its tattva artha, based on its philosophy or or its meaning, that person is said to be vivekin, and that ability is called viveka. Okay, so to say simply, the person, the ability to distinguish and to come to a conclusion discussing its philosophy or its summary. The summary of what? Summary of whatever is being said by whoever. That ability is called viveka. Okay. The gist or the philosophy, the underlying essence of whatever is being said by whoever is saying it, if that gist or philosophy can be easily concluded and understood, that capability is called viveka. Okay. वाक्पटुर्धैर्यवान् मन्त्री सभायाम् अप्यकातरः सकेनापि प्रकारेण परैर्न परिभूयते. वाक्पटुर्धैर्यवान् मन्त्री सभायाम् अप्यकातरः सकेनापि प्रकारेण परैर्न परिभूयते. वाक्पटुः धैर्यवान् मन्त्री सभायाम् अपि अकातरः सः केनापि प्रकारेण परैः न परिभूयते. Now it's very simple. The mantri, the minister. Now in today's times it is the cabinet minister or the prime minister or whatever, be it vice president, president, speaker of the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, etc., chairperson. All of these are what is meant by mantri. Okay, mantrin. If now the characteristics of a good mantri are vakpatuhu, if he is a good orator. Okay, vakpatuhu, vachi patuhu, vakpatuhu, who is good, well versed in speech, who is a good orator, who can speak and communicate his ideas perfectly, crystal clear. And if he possesses dhairya, if he possesses courage, if he has the ability to say no to dissent, if he has the ability to agree even if it is against his ego, if he has the courage to speak in front of the audience, in front of his colleagues and whatever, in front of the media, dhairyavan, if he has that courage to take bold steps, even if it may end in failure, but if it is good for the in the long run, if he is able to take any criticism or any punishment that the Raja may give for his actions, such a minister, mantri. And also third quality is sabhayam api akataraha, even if he is in the meeting, in the parliament, if he is in a conference, in a seminar, etc., if he is akataraha, if he is without fear or without anxiety, without nervousness. Now this is a very common problem which we all face as students and teachers, right? When we face people, we feel that we are that nervousness, we feel that we are not up to the mark, and maybe people may know better, but that is katara, that is that anguish, that anxiety and nervousness. So if this person mantri can be bold enough in his decisions as well as in his speech as well as in his mindset, that he may not have any nervousness, or if he is willing to face any consequences, sabhayam, in the amidst of people, of his co-parliamentarians, then saha kenapi prakarena paraihi na paribhuyate. Paribhuyate is defeated. Na paribhuyate is not defeated. By whom? By para, by his opponents, by the opposition. Saha kenapi prakarena, by whatever means, by hook or crook, even if the opposition can devise devious plans to put him down or to maybe get him killed in the extreme cases, or maybe to exile him, as we have seen in many of the cases in the Vijayanagara Empire and other such empires, in maybe in Channama's times also. We see that the mantri is an adept minister only if he has these three qualities. One, vakpatuhu, then dhairyavan, then akataraha. Such a minister cannot be easily defeated and cannot be easily thrown out of power. Paraihi na paribhuyate. Ya icchatyatmana shreyah prabhutani sukhani cha न कुर्याद हितं कर्म सत्परेभ्यः कदापि च य इच्छत्यात्मनः श्रेयः प्रभूतानि सुखानि च न कुर्यादहितं कर्म सपरेभ्यः कदापि च य इच्छति आत्मनः श्रेयः प्रभूतानि सुखानि च सः परेभ्यः कदापि अहितं कर्म च न कुर्यात्. Very simple. यः आत्मनः श्रेयः इच्छति. Now a person who desires the well-being of himself. Atmanah is not the soul or the spirit, etc. Here Atmanah means of oneself. One who desires the well-being of oneself and one who likes to have prabhutani sukhani, many variety of pleasure and happiness, which is what all of us want. If you investigate and inquire within yourself, if you ask the question why and keep on going maybe 6 or 7 times, you will know that finally that question why ends up at because I want to be happy, right? Most of the time it is because I want to be happy, or it is because I don't want to pain and fear and suffering and agony, which is the same thing. Absence of happiness is sorrow, right? So you're in fact asking the same thing, whether you're running away from sorrow or in pursuit of happiness. That's the one and the same action. They're equivalent. So what you want is prabhutani sukhani. You want not just you. It means every person, maybe even every living being, wants a lot of happiness. Prabhuta sukha. And also it wants that the Atmanah Shreya, it just doesn't want happiness per se, it wants a long-lasting well-being happiness, which is Shreyas, which means that happiness which would last forever and not cause any agony in the future or any disturbance in the future, which would be not hampered in the coming future as well, which is what is meant by Shreyas. Okay? So that is what everybody wants, right? We want first of all the quality to be very good. Quality of happiness, it should be prabhuta, it should be very good. And then shreyas, the quantity, that is the duration of that happiness should be well long lasting and maybe even everlasting. Shreyas. Of who do we desire? Do we desire it for the neighbor's dog, or do we desire it for the neighbor girl? In fact, not. We desire it for ourselves. And it's not just jealousy or selfishness. That is how the nature or world is. Atmanah ichchati shreyaha. We desire it for ourselves. So the poet is first of all including exhaustively the entirety of mankind and maybe even animals and who knows, maybe even plants if they have a mind, into this statement. He has included all of them, and now he says, if you desire well-being and long-lasting and enormous, very good quality pleasures or happiness, what should you do? Saha, that person, parebhyaha kadapi ahitam na karma kuryat. He should never ever do ahitam or something which would be disastrous to others. Parebhyaha, to others. Never ever is kadapicha. He should never even think of doing anything which would disturb the other person. Ahitam karma na kuryat. Okay, so he should not mean ill to others. He should always have either a neutral or a positive attitude to all of his colleagues and whoever his fellow human beings and fellow animals. Ahitam karma na kuryat. He should not do any such ill actions. Now, is that even possible? Now, how will you achieve this first objective through this method as described in the second line? See, if everybody included in the first verse, I mean the first line, which is in the entirety of mankind, I suppose, and even the animals, if each of them does the second protocol properly, if they apply the second protocol to the word, to the letter, if they never ever want to do any harm to any of the persons around them, naturally everyone would not face any kind of sorrow or despair or agony, right? Now, for you to experience pain, the other person, para, should inflict that pain on you. You will not be in pain as by yourself. Similarly with the x and y and x, it goes both ways. Unless a person harms you, you would want to take revenge on them, and so you would harm them, and that would go on. I'm not just justifying that you keep quiet and not take a revenge. I'm just saying, paraphrasing what the poet wants to convey. He says that if every person who is considered in the first condition of one who desires long lasting and good quality happiness and peace of mind throughout the world, if each of them ahitam karma na kuryat, if each of them do not do ill to others in such a pursuit, then that would be the first objective would be accomplished by itself, because the nature of nature, you see, nature of capital N, nature is to be happy. If you go to a forest, you find it peaceful. Why do you find a garden or maybe a forest or a sanctuary peaceful? Because happiness is the nature of nature, right? So you need not import happiness from space or from aliens, etc. If you just don't do bad things to others, you will always abide in the natural state of happiness, of long lasting and very exuberant happiness. That is what the poet wants to say. Next, 8th one. आचारः प्रथमो धर्मः इत्येतद् विदुषां वचः तस्माद् रक्षेत् सदाचारं प्राणेभ्योऽपि विशेषतः. आचारः प्रथमो धर्म इत्येतद् विदुषां वचः तस्माद् रक्षेत् सदाचारं प्राणेभ्योऽपि विशेषतः. Now, finally, the poet is now this lesson is concluded with this statement: Acharah prathamah dharmah. Now we have heard of what is dharma, the dharmic traditions, dharmic religion, etc. All of that. Here, dharma, you should first of all understand, any person, any basic student of Sanskritam should understand dharma to not be an equivalent or a synonym for religion. Okay, first of all, clarify, get it clear in your mind, because the concept of an organized religion was never born in India, which is where Sanskrita was born. So the language did not have that concept of a organized religion, and hence that mapping of the word dharma to a religion is totally false and not justified, and it does not have any evidence. Although in today's popular use we would say sarva dharma samabhava, etc., and dharma yuddhe and all of that, that dharma, strict prohibition of the word dharma for the purposes of religion is what I would bring in. Dharma is not religion at all, as is understood today. Dharma is ethical conduct, is what is responsibility, the duties and fundamental duties and fundamental rights. That is what is dharma. So when you're speaking of that dharma, you say a person has many such dharmas. Okay, a person has many such duties, responsibilities, and many rights. Of those, the first dharma, now the poet is signifying that, she's signaling that there are many dharmas, of which the first one is achara, is behavior, good behavior. Achara is how you walk. That is what it literally means. How you walk every time. A person may walk haughtily, and you get to know the mindset of a person through his chara. Chara means his movement. Now this achara hence actually means behavior, your conduct, your demeanor. Okay, that is what is achara. Acharaha prathamaha dharmaha iti etat vachaha vidusham. Now this is what is said by, this is the statement of vidusham. Vidush means vidvas, is of the great people, the great knowledgeable wise men or wise women, wise humans. They have said that achara is prathama dharma, your good conduct. As you say teaching begins from home. That way, conduct is the first dharma as soon as we are born. Maybe when we acquire the intelligence to see ourselves, analyze ourselves, and then see our actions, we should recognize first of all that our dharma is first achara, which is why people and our parents try to inculcate that dharma into our lives, even as we are, even as our intellects are getting matured, right in infancy and childhood. So, a good behavior is the first dharma. Later comes what kartavya dharma, then paradharma, then yajna dharma, and then whatever moksha dharma, artha dharma, kama dharma, etc. All of that will follow later. Rashtra dharma, etc. First of all, the duty and the responsibility of the person is achara, is to herself or himself or oneself well. That is achara. Now, this is what is said by great people. You may disagree with it, but this is what the poet wants to say. Tasmad rakshet sadacharam pranebhyopi visheshatah. Hence, sadacharam, sat acharam, good conduct. Sat means good. Sat acharam or truthful behavior. Now here it actually means good behavior. Well-behaved person is called sadacharin. So that quality is called sadachara. Now you can just look up a good book called Sadachara by Adi Shankaracharya. It is good. So there he details of all what is encompassed by the term Sadachara. How do you get up? What do you do upon waking up? And then what do you do next? How do you conduct yourself even as you go to brush your teeth? Now, this is not just an imposition of rules. It is a voluntary acceptance and voluntary abidance by the rules. Okay. The only thing which is forced here is constitution on us, right? So we have to, even at the sake of losing one's body or one's life, we have to at least abide by the constitution. Otherwise, we'll be put into jail, put behind bars. So that we don't want, because the constitution is the rule book, is what is governing this nation. So that constitution is at a very large level, which is also can be considered to be at a basic level if we are to understand sadachara. So sadachara in fact will include those concepts, those principles of the constitutional rights and duties. Once we know what sadachara is, we'll get to know, and if we abide by that, we'll get to know that constitutional laws and whatever, you see these rights and right and wrong, to be legal or illegal, all of that will come to know as time progresses. But first, our sadachara should be kept in mind. Good behavior. Now, after you recognize and understand what is encompassed and what is defined by this broad term sadachara, that is not described in this sloka here. Now, the sadachara should be learned from your family, your culture, from your environment, from your experience, and also from good books like what I have just said. After you learn what sadachara is and after you start implementing it, what you do? Pranebhyopi visheshatah tadrakshet. You have to protect that good demeanor. Once it has become a habit for you, that just like you get up in the morning and brush your teeth, that is a habit for you. So you don't do it out of voluntary thought. You know, and it happens somehow. Similarly, once sadachara has become second nature to you, you have to protect it. Rakshet pranebhya api. Even with your lives. Here pranebhya is because in plural, because Samskrita says prana should be in plural, because there are 5 pranas: prana, apana, vyana, udana and samana. Hence it is used in plural. Anyway, so with your life, even with your heart, you will have to protect this sadachara. This may be a great idealistic utopian thought, but it is good to have such ideals, right? Or else without ideals, what are we? Right? So visheshatah, especially with your, even if it costs your life, you will have to maintain your behavior till your very last breath, because it is the first dharma, and dharma is what is going to lead you to moksha. Okay, this is the theory behind, the reason behind this shloka 8. Because it is said that in our culture, it is said dharma forms the foundation for the other three, which is artha, kama and moksha. Which is why dharma, sadachara is said to be first implemented and taken care of by the time you are 25. That is the brahmacharya. So brahmacharya is to mainly create good children, good youngsters who are well behaved, who know the intricacies of law, life, philosophy, and who knows to conduct herself well or conduct himself well. And then this is the ethical moral baseline, which is dharma, upon which you can, using your whatever information, memory and skill set, you can extend this your life's purpose into artha, kama and moksha. Okay, so there are, you can recognize it as the ground being dharma. There are three sprouts of grass or three plants. You can choose to go by any one of them, or maybe one or more of them also, artha, kama and moksha. But the essential nourishment and the base, the foundation should be that soil, which is dharma. Hence, once the foundation itself has been weakened, how will the other three purposes survive? Artha, kama and moksha. So then what is the meaning to your life? It is as good as you are dead. Hence, it is said that once you make your foundation firm, once you have laid your foundation, don't don't disturb the foundation. Don't try to become durachari. Don't try to get bad habits. It's easier said than done, I agree. But this is what a poet wants to idealize a utopian world as. So what can we do? It is good that we bear all of these thoughts in mind and then continue and put our best efforts in seeing that, seeing the logic behind this verse. Right? This is what the culture has advised us to do. First, the soil should be built, should be made firm, which is dharma, and it should be sufficiently porous also. It should be able to take in new opinions and new recommendations. It should be, if it is too tight, then the plant does not grow, right? If the soil is too tight, it can't grow its roots into it. Similarly, our dharma should be sufficiently strong, as well as porous and open to new opinions and new theories, upon which are three basic, three categories of purpose of life, which is wealth and survival, kama is pleasures and enjoyment, indulgences, and moksha is spiritual growth. Material, you can say artha and kama are both material, and you can say kama and moksha somehow, or maybe even artha and moksha can be somehow spiritual growth. Okay, so these purposes in life should not be missed, and they will be missed if sadachara, which is the basis of the first dharma, the first step to dharma, which is the soil which is holding these three together, is disturbed. If it is disturbed, then everything is lost and we are as good as dead, and hence even if we are dead, it is better, it is said, that sadachara is maintained, good habits are maintained. Okay, with such an intense, powerful note, let's end. Dhanyavada.